their repertoire was mostly standards that were in the American songbook or V-pop literature. Now we're listening to
Charlie Parker, is it?
what was that tune?
Oh, it's Rollins. It's Doxy.
Oh, Doxy.
It's Doxy.
Okay.
It's Doxy. Yeah.
So Dexter Gordon was living in Copenhagen for 3 years before he went back to America. In the time between being an expatriate and coming back, artist in America, he had several groups at that time in Europe. There was a French group with Georges Avenitas. He had a pianist like Kenny Drew in Copenhagen, an American expatriate. And he also recorded with anybody on the scene in Europe as well. Germans, French, and even people from Czechoslovakia or from Poland. And Dexter was an international artist then. He had connections to many festivals where he performed. One famous one in Molve,
in Sweden.
Sweden. And when he came back to America, he was considered to be an expatriate or somebody who had no ties with the American jazz scene. So he had to restart with the American situation there as well, with the club owners, with the impresarios. And it's a strange thing that also the American impresarios ignored him for the big festivals. He didn't play in Newport. He didn't play in California, also in San Francisco or so. That came much later, when he was already in his 70s or 60s, and that's when they made this film about Dexter Gordon coming back to America. In that movie.
Which one? Which he played this kind of in Paris.
In Paris, yeah.
Round Midnight.
Round Midnight from Georges Tavernier, Tavernier. Laurent Tavernier, I forgot his name again. And that was around 1979. So.
And he was nominated for the Oscars. So.
Yes, and he was a great figure in that movie because he was so vague and still so precise in his playing too. So that brought him back to the American scene. That movie with, unfortunately, not always the best musicians that could play with him, because it left out a whole scope of his career till then, of other people who were really responsible for him becoming a world star. The French musicians were totally ignored in that movie, and they were the ones who were his partners. Also,
But he played with many musicians. There's great recordings of him.
yeah.
Herbie Hancock is playing. No.
No, there was
No.
Herbie Hancock was the artistic director of that movie, and he had actually no.
I remember this club scene.
Yeah.
Who's playing the? It's Herbie Hancock is playing the piano there in this club.
Yeah, Herbie Hancock is one of the musicians in the movie,
Yeah.
but he had very little to do with the Dexter Gordon's career.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, he was an Außenseiter. He was somebody who the Warner Brothers pushed him to be the chef musician in the movie. It was not exact to the history.
Mhm.
There would be people we already know, or with Michel.
Pierre Michelot was playing the double.
Exactly. Pierre Michaud was the bassist.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was basically a misconception of history because it was not those people that they showed in the movie had to do anything with Dexter Gordon's career after he came back to America. It was a plagiat, or could also call it. It was Dexter Gordon, who was somebody who came back to the limelight with an audience and musicians that he had no contact with. Yeah, the producers of that movie, and I think it was Tavillier himself that hired, or was it Warner Brothers, the executive producers of the film, wanted big stars. Yeah.
That was the reason.
As people with names, rather than the historical achievements that they have.
The Dexter Gordon story is quite a long story,
Yeah,
and you have
many
about
chapters.
30 many chapters, and I see that you have almost 20-30 records from covering his many periods, from
Yeah.
probably all his periods. So I'd suggest that we finish with selecting some of where you select some of the records,
Yeah,
maybe 4 or 5 records, maybe 1 or 2 records from each period, and then
yes,
we say goodbye, and hopefully we have some more viewers on our episode number 1.
okay,
That we choose something else
yeah,
some other day. So let's do that. Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
I'll choose you, I'll pick out some
Mm-hmm.
important records with the personnel is interesting. You can see how adjustable Dexter Gordon could play with all kinds of musicians from all parts of the world.